Hello, I'm Rob Thomas, and welcome to The Road Ahead, brought to you by Club and Resort Business, Club and Resort Chef, and the Club and Resort Chef Association. Today's episode of The Road Ahead is brought to you by Life Fitness. Life Fitness has been a pioneer in fitness equipment, innovating across cardio equipment, connected consoles, digital content, and connected strength equipment. From treadmills, elliptical cross trainers, rowers, and indoor cycling, to heavy bags, kettlebells, plyometric boxes, dumbbells, and more, Life Fitness has what your club needs. To learn more, visit lifefitness.com. For today's episode, highlighting how clubs are moving forward to create successful programs, events, and amenities, and enhanced member experience, we're going to look at how Saratoga Country Club in California is going through a little bit of a transition. Joe Callan, 44 years at the club, was the general manager. He's now retired just very recently. Diana Moffett, 11 years at the club. She's been the assistant general manager. She has taken over as general manager. Joe and Diana, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Nice to be here.
Hey, thanks for coming. Hey, real quick, Joe, you made it through 44 years. Fantastic, right? The last 18 months, has not been smooth, not been easy with COVID. Can you describe how COVID affected you and staff at the club?
Well, I think really initially when COVID hit, the thing that actually ended up making the transition so smooth is the board of directors decided to retain all the employees. We didn't know how long we were going to be able to do that, but they made a commitment. And once that commitment was made, again, then you go into the transition of figuring things out, how to do things, how to provide food and beverage services, etc. None of the software we had was really designed to do that kind of thing. They were designed to provide a reservation or to provide food, but not to provide both. So figuring out how to do, because you can't have 50 orders come in 10 minutes and be able to serve them. So we worked through that, but again, having experienced staff to go through all the adjustments was fantastic. I don't know how we would have done it without them. It took us twice as much or 3 times as much labor to put out a third of the amount of product. So basically our sales revenue went down 2/3, but we were able to provide a third, and we got a PPP loan and some of those things to help us through. We went through, again, creating reservation systems for golf, tennis, swimming, the gym, food and beverage, and I think it went very smoothly.
Hey, Diana, you see it the same way?
I do. I think also with the member-owned club, it helped. We communicated with our members. We allowed them access to communicate with us. This obviously was all new for all of us, but and coming from a county which just opened up really June 15th and is back to some restrictions. I think with the members and staff on board and the board of directors, we got real creative in it and it went okay.
Terrific. Hey, Joe, now from what I understand by reading a little bit of history on you, this is not your toughest challenge in the 44 years. About 20 years ago, and you had mentioned, Diana, about being a member-owned club. You guys went through a transition, another type of transition. Joe, can you explain maybe the challenges and how you overcame that 20 plus years ago?
Well, the club was initially created by a small group of people that thought it would be a for-profit corporation. And they quickly found out it was not very profitable, at least back in that time frame in which it was created, which was about 1960. As a result of the way the corporation was set up, they distributed stock and different things disproportionately. And there were actually non-member shareholders. And so during a period of time, there was a group of people who started acquiring loose shares, and they almost got to the point where they would own the club. And there was a group of members within the club who saw this and were in opposition to it. And so there was that tension of, we work for both sides. You know, I worked for the side that was trying to, we believe, take over, and the side that was in support of member-directed club. And the end result was the members actually took control of the club. They redistributed all the shares so that they were distributed according to the type of membership you had. And that was a fantastic resolution. And actually, there were some other things that they did immediately after that. They required the club to maintain shareholder equity. So we had to bill members to replace assets before they depreciated. And as a function of that, we haven't had an assessment in over 20 years. That is unbelievable in our locale. Every club has done multiple assessments for multiple amounts, and that includes what we accomplished was rebuilding the clubhouse entirely. We added a pro shop, we added a tennis shop, we rebuilt the tennis courts, we rebuilt every hole, and we've done that over the last 20 years without an assessment. And I think that that is just fantastic.
That's delicate tightrope for sure. And
yeah.
You seem to come out better on the other end.
Yes. And actually, when people look to join the club now, they feel somewhat confident that we don't guarantee there would never be an assessment, but there's no plan for future assessments, and we're still looking at doing huge projects coming up, including rebuilding the swimming pool and the whole swimming complex.
Well, that's exciting. I look forward to seeing how that works out.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Diana, so you've seen all the challenges firsthand. You've also heard some of the stories. Obviously, there's, I don't want to say horror stories, but definitely, tricky situation. And you still wanted the job?
Yes. Timing wise, I mean, it was, Joe has been such a great mentor to me that I knew when he was ready, I would be ready.
That's fantastic.
And we've got a great board of directors, staff members, and I felt like the last 18 months we were creative in making every one of those groups happy. And moving forward, I feel like there's been a good foundation laid by Joe.
Hey, you touched upon it. So the mentorship part of this is huge. Obviously, you want the club to operate smoothly from one to the next. Diana, what have you learned? If you can I know that's probably a lot. It's a loaded question, but what have you learned from Joe?
I think the most important is just the fairness and listening. Every member's comment or staff's comment is valid. And if you just take those moments, whether it's a project to they would like tennis courts resurfaced, or maybe they just want some extra soap in the bathroom. I think it all is important. I think that you just need to take the time to listen, and then from there develop what the priorities are and what makes sense.
Very wise. Good.
But again, a loaded question. I could go on. I mean, Joe's certainly taught me much. Everything from the club aspect. Sure.
While I've got you on the topic, can you talk a little bit about the transition? How you prepared? I imagine you knew in advance that Joe was going to retire and that you were going to step into the position. How did you prepare then to become the general manager?
Well, I think, it's still an ongoing transition right now, but Joe and I think I can speak for Joe, we've balanced each out very well over the years. I think that's why I'm still at the club. His strengths and my strengths, and I just had to shift that a little bit to being open to learn some things that was not necessarily my strong suit. So Joe really talked me through it. He's still, open, thankfully, to discussions, and I'll just move forward with kind of it right here. What would Joe do?
You should get a little bracelet, right? WW.
Yeah, right.
So Joe, then how did you, aside from the day-to-day, I would imagine that you would normally, being a mentor, being the general manager, you would teach and show the way. But once you knew you were retiring, did your approach change at all?
Well, I did start to let other people do things that I would normally do myself. And I would say that was kind of hard because, you're kind of used to doing things and it's hard not to do in some respect. I was grateful to have someone who cared deeply about the club to kind of come into that position. So it was really great to have Diana there for that. And the rest of the staff is very dedicated as well. I think, the one thing I would say about the timing of my leaving, I felt like the staff was as strong as it has ever been. And there's a lot of support there. And I think one of the things Diana mentioned, listening to staff, frequently I might have an idea of how to do something, and that the staff had a different idea. And many times the staff idea was taken. And I think that's what you have to do, is just kind of try. And that's, again, in the transitionary period. We all listen to each other. We're trying to work towards a common goal. And I have full confidence that the club will proceed in a very positive way going forward.
Terrific. Hey, Diane, I got another loaded question for you. So you've got 30 plus years if you want to catch up to Joe's tenure. Well, no pressure. But let's not think 30 plus years out in advance. Let's bring it down a little bit. Let's bring it to 10 years. What do you see happening at the club, say, over the next 10 years?
I see, I believe in the club, and I believe it is such a great place for the different groups we've talked about, the members and staff, that I don't see there being a lot of changes other than we are going to be educating, I think, a lot more people that have not had a history of club background in regards to members. I think it'll be a fun introduction for those. This last year, one of the greatest things out of COVID is that we have a wait list. We've had 78 new members. Many of these members started off at public courses or going to community tennis courts. Now they want that next level of a club experience. And so I'm excited for the newness of that for many of these families and members coming in. And also, really, I believe in what the club is offering, and what it does is it listens to those folks, and so we'll just see where it takes us. It'll be, I think, an interesting 10 years in how the club industry changes.
That's great. Diana, best wishes going forward. And Joe, congratulations on a terrific career and happy retirement. And thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for watching this edition of The Road Ahead, brought to you by Club and Resort Business, Club and Resort Chef, and the Club and Resort Chef Association. And thank you to our sponsor, Life Fitness. If you have a great idea or success story you'd like to see featured on a future episode of The Road Ahead, contact editor@clubandresortbusiness.com.